Today, we're diving into a really fascinating shift in global diplomacy. It's a strategy that's built for a world where, let's be honest, the ground is constantly shifting under our feet, both literally and politically. So, when you hear the word embassy, what do you picture? Probably some grand, permanent building, right? A flag out front, a fixed address in a foreign capital. But what if that whole idea is becoming, well, a bit outdated? What if an embassy could operate out of a hotel room, a neighboring country, or even just a suitcase? Because that, right there, is the core idea we're digging into. In a world of constant change and, unpredictable crises, the real work of diplomacy can't be chained to a single building. It has to be agile, it has to adapt, and sometimes it just has to get up and move.
Okay, so let's get to the why of it all. What kind of situations would actually push a country to pack up and abandon its permanent diplomatic post? When does that big, impressive building become more of a liability than an asset?
Well, the reasons are pretty wide-ranging. The most obvious one, of course, is armed conflict, when just staying put is way too dangerous. But then you've also got severe security threats, or maybe a sudden coup that makes the host government totally unstable. And sometimes it's not even about danger. It can be something as practical as the home country facing huge budget cuts and just not being able to afford the rent anymore.
What this all boils down to is this. There are moments when that permanent, fixed building is actually more of a risk than it's worth. And when that happens, the whole game has to change. The strategy has to shift from permanence to, you guessed it, flexibility.
And that brings us to the solution that's been developed for these exact challenges, the concept of the roving ambassador and the mobile embassy.
So what are we really talking about here? A mobile or roving embassy is basically a model where diplomats are completely untethered from a single physical building. They might set up a base in a safer, neighboring country or maybe a regional hub and cover an entire territory from there. It's diplomacy without walls.
It definitely sounds good in theory, right? But how does it actually work day to day? I mean, how do you conduct the business of international relations when you don't even have a home base on the ground?
It's actually a pretty methodical process. First, you set up your base of operations in a stable, nearby country. Think of it as a safe staging area. From there, diplomats will conduct these short, targeted trips into the country for the most essential meetings. And the whole time, secure, encrypted communication is the absolute lifeline that keeps the entire mission running smoothly from a distance.
Now, it's really important to draw a line here. You might be thinking this sounds like a non-resident embassy, but they're two different things. A non-resident embassy is usually a permanent cost-saving move. Like, the ambassador to Iceland might also cover Greenland, but be based in Reykjavik full-time. A roving mission is different. It's a temporary tool, born out of a crisis. Think about the Western missions for Afghanistan that are now operating out of Doha and Qatar. That's a roving mission, created specifically because of instability.
Choosing to go this route isn't just a logistical decision, though. It's a really strategic move that sends a powerful political signal to everyone watching.
The message it sends is incredibly nuanced. It basically says, hey, we are still committed to engaging with you, but we do not accept or endorse the current political situation or the lack of security on the ground. It's a way for a country to keep those critical lines of communication open without giving legitimacy to a regime it doesn't support or putting its own people in harm's way. At the end of the day, this model really is the perfect compromise in a tough situation. It strikes that incredibly delicate balance between the absolute need to conduct diplomacy and the non-negotiable duty to keep your people safe.
So what does all of this mean for the future of diplomacy? Well, as we're about to see, this whole flexible approach is becoming more and more relevant every single day. Let's face it, we live in an era of growing geopolitical instability. So this isn't some niche strategy anymore. It's quickly becoming an essential part of the diplomatic toolkit. It allows nations to stay present in volatile regions, to be responsive when things change in a heartbeat, and to stay connected even when a permanent embassy just isn't an option.
And this quote really just captures the entire spirit of this shift perfectly. It's such a powerful reminder that the real heart of diplomacy isn't found in concrete and steel buildings. It's found in the people who are carrying out the mission and the purpose that's driving them forward. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. As our world gets more connected digitally, but arguably more fragmented politically, is the very idea of a place-based diplomacy becoming obsolete? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.